This is the essential,
Good.
the essence of everything. You start from here. That's the origin of everything. Because to do this, the most simple watch is the most difficult exercise that you can do. Because when you have a Parmigiani, you have already everything. You are doing something very pure, and this watch is full of purity. And we took out the logo because it's an insider customer. The Parmigiani customer is not ostentatious. It's a customer who is very discreet. How can we give to a gentleman of today an execution of a style which is contemporary for a next generation customer, which is looking for an understated style and a refinement and a way of expressing luxury, not in a mainstream way. The bigger luxury becomes, the more you have people who are interested in expressing personal taste. And you can be niche in many ways. You can be niche in a creative way, in very audacious shapes, or in futuristic approach, technological. We chose to be understated, elegant, refined, timeless, but contemporary. So it's a style that we have called rich minimalism, because the effect is to be very minimal, but the sartorial craft that you have inside every component of the watch is huge. And we chose, first of all, the PF logo, which is a very present code in the brand since the beginning, but it was almost hidden because it was either on the oscillating mass or on the crown, very small. But originally, this is the poinçon de maître. This is the hallmark of the gold cases that Michel started with a symbol which was already graphic. So even in a functional thing like a hallmark, he was already expressing an aesthetic that was refined. And then it's about proportions. No? When you have these indexes that are extremely tiny, no? You're making the dial breathe. You're giving a simplicity, but it's a pureness. It's not empty. It's full of pureness, and the texture of the dial is a very small guillochage. When we asked the guillocheur to do the Grand Orge, because that's another code of the brand which is present here, the Grand Orge, I asked it to be so small that it was almost invisible to see. And the first was so invisible that you couldn't see it. So we said, give me a 10% more. And this has the objective to be a texture. No? It's not something in your face. It's not something that you see every time you look at the watch. But you know it's there. It's this finishing that is luxury, that is sophisticated, non-invasive. And it is, the more you do it big, the more it looks old. No? So the choice of the dimension of the guillochage is giving some contemporary feeling to the watch. The color is not a simple gray. We took 3 months to get to this level of warm gray, because if you have just black and white in gray, it's without life, it's cold. And here we put some brown in it that you don't see. It's not a brown dial, it remains a gray dial, but that warmth, that emotion that the brown brings you makes it refined. And there are some people who notice it, some people don't. It depends on your sensitivity on aesthetics. It's about the sensitivity of the client. The sartorial approach goes beyond the case, beyond the dial, because the case has the bezel, which is in platinum. Now you say, why should I put a platinum bezel on a steel watch? Well, first of all, the platinum is whiter, reflects the light in a more brilliant way. And then when you polish it by hand, you are taking out that industrial feeling that steel remains, because steel is harder than platinum, and so the edges of this knurled case is more smooth, no, is less abrasive, is less industrial. And then the case, which is only 7.8 millimeters on 100 meter depth water resistance and with a screwed crown, is done with a finishing which is brushed across the lugs. We never did this in the brand. And the crazy thing, that you really have to be masochist to do it, we decided to have this polished outline, no, of the lug that goes on around the lug. So this small millimeter is polished. This obliges you to have the lugs that are produced separately from the case and then assembled after to keep this finishing. Again, it's a detail. You might not notice it, but it's there. And it's there like for somebody who has attention to that level of craft. The bracelet is new completely. It's completely flexible. It goes in every direction. It follows the wrist perfectly. And this is a 40mm case that fits also very well a woman's wrist. Because it accompanies your wrist without any angle, without nothing. Well, listen, it's he is appreciating a lot the freshness of mindset that I bring and the taste, the level of refinement that I'm pushing on the brand. He comes in every now and then because he's an honorary president of the company. He's not full-time in the company. And he pops in. He lives next door, so it's 20 meters from my office. And it's like a grandpa who comes in and checks on you and says, "How's it going?" And then sometimes I'm busy. I said, "We'll see you later." Or sometimes he is, I have time, and we just start chatting because he's not a person who you ask questions and it's a direct response. Things pop up talking about watches as in a conversation. So I'm always learning something new. I have never ever been acquainted with restoration in all the 20 years that I have done in my watchmaking life. And that's again another richness of culture, of tradition, of knowledge, which is extraordinary. I always say that to me restoration is the black belt of watchmaking. There are some things that even the emotional pressure of working on such ancient pieces that you are not allowed to do a mistake because otherwise your trace is left forever, and who will restore it in 100 years? You will see your mark, and that's not nice. I must say that he's been very rewarding in the comments because he likes this freshness that the brand is taking. And he said, "I would wear all these watches, they're beautiful, and I see what you're trying to do, and I agree." And he looks at it with a clinical eye, with the eye of who has that infinite knowledge, Parmigiani is coveted by this very uncompromising crowd of niche customers that are willing to express with elegance personal pleasure. And this is something that is extremely difficult to please, because you have to have ideas, and the ideas have to be consistent, and they have to be uncompromising. So in the short term, I would like that this new style that we are putting, this minimal rich style that I described to you, be understood and be an expression of refinement and elegance in this loud world of quantitative luxury. And I prefer a lot quality over quantity, and that's my first wish. So the understanding of this Sartorial approach to watchmaking in a contemporary way for a younger customer, that's my wish. Then in the future, of course, we have to make the brand grow, and I would like to inject also and go back to the technical innovation, because a niche brand to me has an obligation to be pushing the boundaries of luxury. It's not the mainstream brand that will move a direction. It's a niche brand that will push and look for creativities that are new. And innovation in technology has, of course, an important role in this. And we have the ambition, we have ideas. They are difficult to achieve, so we don't know if we're going to make it, but the brand has been able to release in the past world premieres from a technical point of view, and we have the ambition to continue to do so in the future.